I'm Quraysha Ismail Sooliman. I'm an UP staff, University of Pretoria staff. I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Pretoria. I'm also a Muslim South African, an activist and a mother who has children in the university. So I am in full support of everything that you are doing here today. Students, I salute you. And I salute you for the simple reason is that what I see in you is an unraveling of an amazing moment in South Africa, because we are in the best of times and we are in the worst of times. But we are in the best of times because we have you. And we have you that have stood up to rise and to show the inner strength and the justice of South Africa. You are a force that is demanding change, that is projecting towards a better way. And it is a tradition that is taught in Islam as well. As it is said in the Quran, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, that take them on, certainly take them on, but take them on in a way that is better. And that is what you students are doing here today. That is what you're doing with this particular movement. But more importantly, what you're doing is about claiming back and social justice, about accountability, about history and the fearless mobilization of the youth. This day that our youth stop mobilizing, they stop agitating, they stop challenging, they stop questioning, that is the day the colonial project has won. Don't ever surrender. So we are at this point where we are at a crossroads, because within the movement, and this is what is affecting all of us, there is the manifestation of a schizophrenia. A kind of schizophrenia that has been introduced into our ranks from within us and amongst us through colonialism and then through apartheid. A schizophrenia that exists in our society. It is a system that has developed the intellect of others amongst us, that is not in touch with those amongst whom they live and the societies that they serve. But it is an intellect that has developed which is foreign to the societies in which they are and the people that they serve and represent. And these people see all of you and all of us as reactionary, as backward, as antagonistic. Consider the statements, as our MC spoke earlier, on Gwede Mantashe, what Gwede Mantashe said. Consider the statements of Bladen Zimande. These are individuals, I say, they should be resigned to the dustbin of politics in South Africa. The impact of the colonial penetration has driven the agenda of whiteness and the need to whiten up. And these elite represent that. They represent the negation of the black man and the negation of himself. They represent the emasculation of our people, and an emasculation that has coming forth to say that we need to emasculate those around us as well. And they advocate an agenda of pacifism. And within this agenda of pacifism, they seek then to control and neutralize us. When this happens, they are the kind of people that we know Fanon spoke about in black skins and white masks. They have been whitened and favor the foreign over the local. They develop what Niaminjo has called imported thinking, and they are minded by the language of power. These are the ones who have surrendered to the colonial project. You are, for me, the best of times. Do not surrender to that colonial project. Speaking as a Muslim activist, as a female in South Africa, there are many things that resonate for me with you as to what is happening in the global sphere, because this is a colonial project, an attack against the black body. Just as the colonial project is an attack against the Muslim body, the narratives are parallel. And they object to you opening your minds, at you opening the institutions, at you getting knowledge, because for as long as you are dumbed down, you will not question. And we will seek in each other an enemy and not a friend. And we will not unite. What they do not know nor understand, that access to education and learning is an ontological project. It is an entire way of being. And demanding this access demanding that fees must fall is not a utopian project, as the gatekeepers keep projecting. It is about collapsing that hegemonic gaze that has been lodged in our thinking and pedagogical practices. It is about building an Africa and an African nation of greatness and creativity. And it is about refuting this myth of African incompetence, backwardness, and aggression. Again, it is the same narrative against the Muslim body of backward, barbaric Muslims, backward, aggressive Muslims. Do you see the parallels? Driven by the same colonial project. It is the result of an unfinished business which lies in the burden of our histories. And we are revolting against the terms of engagement that have been dictated to us. You must revolt about terms that are dictated to you. And I'll tell you why. Because these terms are aggravated by predicaments and attempts to assimilate our identities. And the most important thing is they want to make us forget the past that brought us to this moment. And if you remember that, and if you remember that the Fallist movement has animated the recollection of this forgetting, it has animated this forgetting. Those who want to sanitize the past, they resent this reignition. They resent this remembering, and they're retaliating by viciously guarding a system of gatekeeping, which is controlling access to higher education for the majority. And this is when you see that they will prioritize buildings and objects and commodities over human lives. It is important for all of us, for all our youth gathered here today and those who are not here. Imagine a better way forward, but do not allow yourselves to tear each other apart. We must learn to work together. We must learn to trust each other. And we must not submit to the colonial hierarchies that pit us against each other. Never be arrogant in seeking the best for our people, our youth, our future. This is our strategy. And the choice to strategize and compromise should always be greater than the I and the me and the personal gain. It is a wisdom and a mentality that belongs to our ancestors. It is a tradition that is steeped in Ubuntu and Ummah, and it is the legacy of justice embedded and sedimented deep within our African ontologies and our religions and our epistemologies. For we are a great people, let them say what they want. Students, it is necessary to stand together, united behind a purpose. Rise, as he said right at the start, forget the political identities. This is a purpose on which we are united and on which we are fighting. Stand united behind the purpose. And remember, we are not beggars for recognition and never should be. We must never apologize for being black or for being Muslim, and never become or allow yourself to become that person who celebrates the negation of himself. These ideals and foundations must unite us so that all youth stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder, with fellow comrades and support the movements demanding fees must fall, Afrikaans must fall, decolonization of the curriculum, decolonization of institutional and cultural. These demands are non-negotiable, and they are the foundations to establishing social justice and addressing the nightmare and memories of the past. And I call upon the past each time because the encounter with the past is a necessary yardstick for justice, especially social justice. And this association of the past with the future is a very important link to our liberation. And so to conclude, I'll take a story from the Islamic tradition which looks at the story of Prophet Moses, whom we call Musa alayhi salam, and the Banu Israel. And you know that they were banished and they wandered for 40 years. And so the Muslim scholars reflected, but why 40 years? Why were they wandering for 40 years? Why not 10? Why not 20? Why not 30? Why not 5? Why 40 years? And the wisdom that they came up and the solution that they provided on this reflection was a very important understanding. And that is that to get rid of the people who have been ideologically infiltrated, who suffer from a sense of inferiority and subjugation from the oppressors, when living amongst the oppressors, it takes 40 years to get rid of these ideas and to build a new generation of leaders. And so when they were expelled from the Pharaoh's kingdom, although they fought, but they were still indoctrinated in that system. And that a new generation had to come up. A new generation who was away from that system had to come up, that would grow independently of that system and develop their own critical thought and ideas. And it is 40 years since the Soweto uprising. Since 1976. And it is 40 years, a powerful moment where the nation has been birthing leaders and protagonists of justice, not masks of Europhilia and whiteness. We have not had leaders until now, but you have been birthed 40 years later. And thus it is not disrespectful when the youth question the arrogance of those who claim to represent and lead us, people who lift the colonial project and their own emasculation. So remember, my final political advice to you is that you will, you can, and you must choose your leaders. And you will, and you can, and you must choose the system that governs and regulates your life. The Western liberal rhetoric will tell you, well, this is democracy. That's what democracy is all about. We say no. What this Western neoliberal system actually does is tell you, you may choose everything except the right to reject the englobing system. And by protesting about gatekeeping to higher education, we choose the right to resist these systems. In spite of what they may say or do, we choose the right to resist the dominant contemporary form of man-made supremacy that goes against the ideals of our religions, which recognize all people as humans, all people as equal. As God has said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, we have given dignity to all of mankind. And we choose the right to resist inherent systems of organizing life, education, society, and politics along the lines of race. Power is with the people, and we, the people, will take ownership of this power by not forgetting both the near past and the far past, and by choosing our own leaders. And so with the name of Allah, Al-Adl, the one who is just, I salute you, our youth. Aman love.